to me, your uncle, whoops, you got to get this thing out
Hold
of
on
there.
1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just putting
Okay.
this. I'm putting it
Okay.
on YouTube. I think we're good. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Very good.
Oh, the
So
Shemitah. Yeah, I
I'll
love it.
try again. Jeremiah said, the word of the Eternal came to me. Your uncle Shalem's son, Hananam El, will come to you saying, buy my land in Anatot, because you have the redemption right to buy it. And just as the Eternal had foretold, my cousin Hananam El came to me in the court of the God and said, please buy my land in Anatot, in the territory of Benjamin. You have the right of possession and the duty of redemption, so buy it. Okay. Then I knew this was only the word of the Eternal, so I bought the land in Anatot from my cousin Hananam El. I weighed the money out for him, 17 shekels of silver. I wrote a deed, sealed it, and had it witnessed, and I weighed out the silver on scales. Then I took the deed of purchase, the sealed copy containing the terms and conditions, and the open one, and gave the deed to Baruch, son of Zeriah, and grandson of Machasiah, in the presence of my cousin Hanam El, of the witnesses who had signed the deed of purchase, and in the presence of all the Judeans who were present in the court of the God. In the presence of them all, I have Baruch this instruction. I gave Baruch this instruction. Thus says the God of heaven's hosts, the God of Israel, take these deeds, both the sealed deed of purchase and the open copy, and put them in a clay jar, so that they will last a long time. For thus says the God of heaven's hosts, the God of Israel, houses, fields, and vineyards shall again be bought in this land. Then I prayed to the Eternal after giving the deed of purchase to Baruch, son of Neriah. Oh, eternal God, by your tremendous power and our stretched arm, you made heaven and earth. Nothing is too difficult for you. You act with love to thousands of generations, but make their children after them pay for the sins of their parents. You are the great and mighty God, whose name is the God of heaven's hosts, great in counsel and mighty in action, whose eyes are open to all the ways of mortals, giving to all according to their ways and according to the fruit of their deeds. To this day, you have worked signs and wonders in the land of Egypt and Israel, and among all the world's people. You have made your name renowned to this very day. You brought Israel, your people, out of the land of Egypt with signs and wonders, with a
Uh,
something.
I
I can't go. I'm finished. I got to go more.
You don't see strong hand on
I don't
top.
see. I don't see a strong hand on top.
No, it looks frozen.
Oh, okay. I'm
Oh.
seeing. Now I see it. Okay, a strong hand and an outstretched arm, with great terror. You gave them this land, the one you promised to give to their ancestors, a land flowing with milk and honey. Just before I go on, maybe the reason why I'm having trouble is I have my iPad horizontal, and when I make it vertical, I don't see as much. So maybe that's the reason why I miss a couple of lines. Okay. But when they came and took possession of it, they did not listen to you or follow your teaching. They did not do as you had commanded them, so you brought on them all this trouble. Behold, the siege mounds have arrived at the city to capture it. And the city, because of the sword, starvation, and disease, is at the mercy of the Chaldeans who are attacking it. What you announced has happened. Now you look at it. Yet you, O eternal God, have said to me, buy the land for money in the presence of witnesses when the city is about to fall to the Chaldeans.
Whoops.
Okay. Then the word of the eternal came to Jeremiah. I am the eternal, the God of all flesh. Is anything too difficult for me?
That's it, right?
That's it. Oh, that's it. Oh, it ends
I
with a
think so.
question.
Yeah,
Oh,
because it ties in with the fact that, like in the Jubilee year, that
I
the land
see.
has to
Okay.
be returned to the original owner.
I'm having some internet problems, I think, guys.
Oh, okay.
Take
So,
over because what I feel
Me
like
as the host? You want me to
it's
take
getting
over?
choppy on my.
Did you
Yes,
make me
hold
the
on.
host or the
Let me
co-host?
see.
Oh, okay.
Not
I'm
yet,
just
not
gonna.
yet.
All right, I'm gonna disappear for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
because I
right,
could
Gary, you are
share.
now the host.
Oh, okay. And I'll if you
Okay.
want to shut your book, I'll put mine up.
Yeah, I'll shut my book. How about now? Is that all right?
Yep, let me just get this one up here, full screen. Let's see, view, full
Okay,
Yeah.
screen.
I'm back.
And let me go back to the beginning of the parsha. Wait a second. There we go. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe BEHAR Sinai lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me just fix.
Do you want to read for a change?
Me?
Yeah, I actually want to have
Sure. I
I
will.
wanted to have a bite to eat while I'm reading.
Yeah. Oh, no problem.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah. A woman's gotta eat. Hey, Tony, just because you're kicking in for food don't mean you don't gotta eat. You still gotta eat. All right. Well, here we go. I will start, okay?
Thank you.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you enter the land that I assign to you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of the Eternal. 6 years you may sow your field, and 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather in the yield. But in the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, a Sabbath of the Eternal. Oh, excuse me. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap the aftergrowth of your harvest or gather the grapes of your untrimmed vines. It shall be a year of complete rest for the land. But you may eat whatever the land during its Sabbath will produce. You, your male and female slaves, the hired and bound laborers who live with you, and your cattle and the beasts in your land may eat all its yield. You shall count off 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7 years, so that a period of 7 weeks of years gives you a total of 49 years. Then you shall sound the horn loud in the 7th month on the 10th day of the month, the Day of Atonement. You shall have the horn sounded throughout your land, and you shall hallow the 50th year. You shall proclaim release throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be, 1 second, a jubilee for you. Each of you shall return to your holding, and each of you shall return to your family. That 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. You shall not sow, neither shall you reap the aftergrowth or harvest the untrimmed vines, for it is a jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You may only eat the growth direct from the field. In this year of jubilee, each of you shall return to your holding. When you sell property to your neighbor or buy any from your neighbor, you shall not wrong one another. In buying from your neighbor, you shall deduct only for the number of years since the Jubilee, and in selling to you, that person shall charge you only for the remaining crop years. The more such years, the higher the price you pay. The fewer such years, the lower the price. For what is being sold to you is a number of harvests. Do not wrong one another, but fear your God, for I, the Eternal, am your God. You shall observe my laws and faithfully keep my rules, that you may live upon the land in security. The land shall yield its fruit, and you shall eat your fill, and you shall live upon it in security. And should you ask, what are we to eat in the 7th year, if we may neither sow nor gather in our crops? I will ordain my... Wait, let me just move this up a little. I will ordain my blessing for you in the 6th year, so that it shall yield a crop sufficient for 3 years. When you sow in the 8th year, you will still be eating old grain of that crop. You will be eating the old until the 9th year, until crops come in. Anybody have any questions or no?
No,
Let me just
because I
see-
know that they do this. I know that this is the Shemitah year, right?
Right. And then the
Shemitah
Jubilee.
year, of what I remember, yeah, you're supposed to be able to plant enough. I didn't know it was for 3 years. I knew it was for the year that you're not planting. I didn't know it was about the extra years.
It's almost like with the manna on the day before Shabbat. God gave them enough, like they were allowed to save up for 2 days. Yeah, same thing. Right, but the land must not be sold beyond reclaim. For the land is mine. You are but strangers resident with me. Throughout the land that you hold, you must provide for the redemption of the land. If one of your kin is in straits and has to sell part of a holding, the nearest redeemer shall come and redeem what that relative has sold. If a person has no one to be redeemer, but prospers and acquires enough to redeem with, the year since its sale shall be computed, and the difference shall be refunded to the party whom it was sold, so that the person returns to that holding. If that person lacks sufficient means to recover it, what was sold shall remain with the purchaser until the Jubilee. In the Jubilee year it shall be released, so that the person returns to that holding. If someone sells a dwelling house in a walled city, it may be redeemed until a year has relapsed since its sale. The redemption period shall be a year. If it is not redeemed before a full year has elapsed, the house in the walled city shall pass to the purchaser beyond reclaim throughout the ages. It shall not be released in the Jubilee.
May I ask one question?
Okay. Yep.
What is the difference between the Jubilee and the Shemitah year?
The Jubilee is the 50th year after the 7.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right. It's like this 49 year, 7
Right.
Shemitahs, and then.
Right.
Where were we? We were 29, right? Yep. If someone sells a dwelling house and wall, it shall be redeemed before. The house and wall shall be throughout the ages. But houses and villages that have no encircling walls shall be classed as open country. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released through the Jubilee. As for the cities of Levi, the houses in the city it holds, Levi shall forever have the right of redemption. Such property as may be redeemed from Levi, houses sold in the city it holds, shall be released through the Jubilee. For the houses in the cities of Levi are its holding among the Israelites, but the unenclosed land about its cities cannot be sold, for that is its holding for all time. If your kin, being in straits, come under your authority, and are held by you, though resident aliens, let them live by your side. Do not exact advance or accrued interest, but fear your God. Let your kin live by your side as such. Do not lend your money at advanced interest, nor give your food at accrued interest. I, the Eternal, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, to be your God. If your kin under you continue in straits and must be given over to you, do not subject them to the treatment of a slave. Remaining with you as a hired or bound laborer, they shall serve with you only until the Jubilee year. Then they, along with any children, shall be free of your authority. They shall go back to their family and return to the ancestral holding. For they are my... Excuse me? For they are my servants, whom I freed from the land of Egypt. They may not give themselves over into servitude. You shall not rule over them ruthlessly. You shall fear your God. Such male and female slaves as you may have, it is from the nations round about you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also buy them from among the children of aliens resident among you, or from their families that are among you, whom they begot in your land. These shall become your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as a property for all time. Such you may treat as slaves, but as for your Israelite kin, no one shall rule ruthlessly over another. Would someone else like to read, or do you want me to keep going?
I can continue. Where did you leave off?
Number 47.
Okay, 47. All right, I'll continue. I have to do one thing. I have to blow it up because it's very tiny on my screen. So I'm going to
That's
blow it
okay.
up. Okay,
That's
all right.
okay.
Okay. If a resident alien among you has prospered and your kin being in straits comes under that one's authority and is given over to the resident alien among you, or an offshoot of an alien's family, your kin shall have the right of redemption, even after having been given over. Typically, a brother shall do the redeeming, or an uncle or an uncle's son shall do the redeeming. Anyone in the family who is of the same flesh shall do the redeeming, or having prospered. Your formerly impoverished kin may do the redeeming. The total shall be computed with the purchaser as from the year of being given over to the other until the Jubilee year. The price of sale shall be applied to the number of years as though it were for a term as a hired laborer under the other's authority. If many years remain, your kin shall pay back for the redemption in proportion to the purchase price. And if a few years remain until the Jubilee year, so shall it be computed. Payment shall be made for the redemption according to the years involved. One shall be under the other's authority as a laborer hired by the year. The other shall not rule ruthlessly in your sight. If not redeemed in any of those ways, that person along with any children shall go free in the Jubilee year. For it is to me that the Israelites are servants. They are my servants whom I freed from the land of Egypt. I, the eternal your God. Oh, I'm sorry, it goes on. I'm sorry. You shall not make idols for yourself. Whoops, I get this one. You shall not make idols for yourselves or set up for yourselves carved images or pillars or place figured stones in your land to worship upon. For I, the eternal, am your God. You shall keep my Sabbath and venerate my sanctuary, mine, the eternal.
Yeah, baby. Wow, that was quick.
That's a
That
fast
was
one.
quick.
That
Wow,
was very quick.
well,
That's good
but
stuff,
there's a
though.
lot. But you know, it was quick, but there's a lot said.
You know what I never noticed, and I am so embarrassed about this. And tell me
Yeah.
if any of you, I never realized that, like with the Shemitah, with the land, that when you buy it, like it's prorated based on the number of years of the Jubilee. Because, like it
I didn't
says,
know
you're
that either.
paying,
Yeah,
yeah, because you're paying for harvests.
right.
Like God is saying that, you're only like travelers. Like the land is mine.
Right.
You're just travelers on it.
But you know
But
what? What also hit me kind of in 55, it says, "For it is to me that the Israelites are servants. They are my
Right.
servants, whom I freed from the land of Egypt. I did you." So, for the rest of time, we have to remember that we are God's servants. I mean, no matter what, it's like,
Yep.
I mean, we always say it, it Passover time especially, but it really kind of hit me when I read this last line.
Mhm.
It's like we're God's servants. I didn't really think of it that way.
I think the Shemitah, Achi, I know you say it, but I think the same thing. I think it's like one of the most incredible things in the Bible.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's something that, you hear about, like, different places in the land, like things that are done with chemicals and
Oh gosh.
all these
yeah.
things that are done, like, and like the Torah says, like, that it, if you do this to the land, it'll spit you out, like it'll vomit
right.
you out. You know, it's really like it was everything like is set up to be so in sync, like to
And look what's
perfection.
happened with those weed killers that have killed so many people and things because of those were chemicals that we shouldn't have been using to begin with.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this-
instead of giving
Yeah. Go ahead.
instead of giving the land the rest it needs per the Bible to replenish, use
Yeah.
chemicals and stuff to make it
Yeah.
artificially.
Right.
You
And
know?
anyways, how many people truly, except for Jews, really do take a year off if they're a farmer and have other than in Israel,
I know. I don't think many. I mean,
But,
yeah, because now
really,
everything's such
when
a
you
commodity.
think about it, other than
There's
in
nothing- is it-
Israel, it's not done much.
Is there anything in the New Testament about? I mean, I don't know.
No, not really. I mean, this is one of those question marks, right? Because I always feel like Christianity is kind of takes a lot of laws from the Torah, and it's
Right.
just one of those ideas that it just never somehow, or maybe it did at one point in time in history. I don't know. Maybe it did, but of course we were talking about the laws for when the Israelites enter the land, right? So this is for
Right.
the laws
Yeah.
of entering the land. However, we could also argue, well, many people, many Europeans, white Europeans, when they came to America, they called this the Promised Land. So they had all of these teachings and all these symbols of what to do once they entered this new land. I mean, I feel like this is part of history, and it just keeps repeating in
Uh-huh.
many
It
regards.
always
But,
does, though. History always does. That's why you got to know it to not be doomed to. Well,
yeah.
even then, it repeats.
Right. And this is the part where it's like a banking system or a real estate system
Right, it
that's
is.
hidden in the Torah. And modern society has completely ignored it, about forgiving, what is it? Forgiving the debtor and doing all these things after 7 years and
The
freeing the
land
slaves.
returning to the original line of.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
go ahead. It's so
No,
mind blowing. Like how different a world it would be if maybe we chose to do this just for a couple of years. Maybe 25, 50 years. We try this idea
Yeah.
out.
it's like a little reset. It resets everything and keeps things. It seems like it would give it balance, like
Yeah.
because nobody would be like up in a certain like. It would shift and change like
Right.
more in a very orderly type of way, like
In a predictable way.
Right.
Now we have this unpredictability in all of our economy, and we don't know what tomorrow brings. It might go up, it might come down, but it's just amazing, and it's obvious that it. And also, remember they talk about one person's impoverished, but the other person might be
Yep.
prospering, and so
Right.
it always
Yep.
has that Yom Kippur effect, right? Isn't that where we
Yep.
we learn we pray for
And you
whoever is going to
and you're
increase
supposed
this
to
year?
not. You're not supposed to oppress that person. You're
Right.
not supposed to charge them interest. You're not supposed to. Basically, you're not supposed to exploit them at all.
It's such a beautiful idea. I love
So
it.
incredible.
It is an amazing thing.
Not only is it beautiful, but it's supposed to be like the law for all time. No matter how we stray, the fact is, it was like it's written with that intention.
That's right.
Like
It's
the
really
fact
You
that
know,
it's what's
but my concern is that unfortunately I feel the world is getting far and far away from it.
I agree.
I mean, I want to tell you, just even a perfect example, the horror of what happened in Buffalo, New York. I'm seeing this everywhere. It's not, I mean, I don't see that we're learning from all this. I don't see that our Congress, matter of fact, is doing anything about white supremacy. Really, it's starting to get me concerned that it's just like, okay, another thing happened, but I don't see crime and punishment being equally balanced. I really don't see it. It's like I don't see it, and I'm
But to
hoping
think,
that I'm wrong, that something changes, but it's getting me a little
the
discouraged.
thought that like I didn't hear this, but my sister, excuse me, earlier when I was talking to her, she was reading some of the stuff that this nut had written, like in his
Yeah, really.
manifesto or whatever.
Horrible.
And it's like, my God, like, where does a mind get cultivated to get to
Right.
that place? Can you imagine?
It's all indoctrination. It's all propaganda. And you know
Yeah.
what? But every one of these people, incidentally, I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. Every one of these people that get these automatic rifles and they get indoctrinated or brainwashed. They all were loners, and this is their way of feeling important.
yeah.
So what I've learned is that almost every one of these people have had not only mental illness, but they were loners, and that it's something where they get, for once in their life, they're going to get a lot of attention. I mean, it's terrible attention to get. And this guy even said, "I don't even care if I go to jail because I'm going to be recognized as someone who's
But
a
see,
hero.
Ruth, you summed it up before. Because people get further away from you see what I mean?
Yes.
Somebody like that, if you study Torah like every day of your life earnestly and in the
Yeah.
right way that you're trying to reach to a higher level of divinity, it's very unlikely that you're going to take a high-powered rifle and
Right.
pick
That's
out
what.
a certain group of people and go blow them
Right.
away just because they're either Jewish, black, gay,
Yeah.
Asian,
I
whatever.
mean, and we're always
Jewish.
talking
Y-
in Judaism, we're always talking about being kind to the stranger. This is
Yep.
not being developed enough in our real world today. What happened
Not
to being
only that, but when we're made in God's image,
I
what
know.
single human being on this earth could define exactly? That's a very fluid thing. We're made in God's image.
Right.
That must mean all of us, right?
Right.
It doesn't say that like people that are like 6'2" with blue eyes, blonde hair, Jewish, live in Malden, but are and
I
everybody
know.
else is shit.
It's
I
just
mean,
but
you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
everybody, absolutely,
the
Yeah,
everybody.
only
and
thing that
who
I
was
can
it?
believe is that somewhere along the line, because I still believe that most people are not like that, thank God,
Yeah.
Right,
that there's got to be a reckoning at some
but
point.
I'm saying
That's
that
the
what I'm sorry. No, I'm just
I
saying like what is it that somehow leads you to believe for whatever reason like I'm better than these people because I believe this and I do this. Like I'm doing a good thing by going out and killing because because I believe this and they don't. So I'm
yeah,
doing a
I
good
know.
thing if
Yeah, but it's like
where do
yeah,
you
and our group is the most successful or superior group, and I'm trying to, wipe the
yeah,
slate
Yeah.
clean.
yeah, it's like
And there's an
Very
interesting talk.
sad.
The TED Talks, the TED Talk
Yeah.
website. There is an interesting talk that was given maybe 6 or 7 years ago by a guy who said he was a white supremacist.
Yeah.
He didn't quite look white. I mean, he could have been.
Or
Who knows?
whatever. But anyways, what about
Yeah,
him?
and he talked about how angry he felt, and he felt like he didn't belong anywhere, and he felt he just was angry at everything. And when
Yeah.
he found white supremacy, he felt like there's a group I can belong to,
Right.
and it was this. It's a really scary thought because it's almost like what Gary, I think you were saying. It was like he was isolated, not
They're almost every one of them is an
Ruth.
isolated individual,
instead of
and
finding
that's what
that
I
group,
read.
we should have got him on the underground
Yeah,
emailing
get him the
list.
Yeah.
Torah.
Right. Yeah.
Put it
Sure.
right in his head. Here, be kind to the
Yeah.
stranger. Be
Yeah.
kind to the stranger. And
But
forgive your
I
debts.
love But did Reverend Joe mention something about that yesterday about like in God's image? Oh no, I think Friday night there was talk about it Friday night at the service because of the LGBTQ plus like
Oh,
Right,
I
right.
didn't get to see
what
that.
is in God's image? Well, we're made whatever we are, we're made in
That's
God's
exactly.
Right.
image.
That's right. That's
Hallelujah.
right.
And it's like
Exactly.
it's not defined like by a certain body type,
I
by a
know.
certain religion, by a certain color, by a certain nationality, by a certain
Yeah. But
it
these
doesn't
people, these
matter.
people really believe that if they're not a certain type of, white person, I don't even understand what they're looking for. But it's
Right.
like they can't accept anything except what they think is pure to them, and
Right.
that's
Isn't
what
that
makes it
sick though?
so sick.
Yeah.
It is a sickness.
It's hard for us to sit here and try to
I
put
know, try to
yourself in
figure
the
it out.
place
Yeah.
of right to think like, oh wow, I want to try to get inside of this guy's mind and see like
Yeah.
you
No.
can't wrap
Yeah.
yourself around it.
No, you can't wrap yourself
You
around. But
can't, you know what I mean?
unfortunately, again, the thing that I'm noticing most of all is that there's not enough of our government standing up for. There's a lot of Republicans that are just letting this slide, and I'm using the word Republicans, even though I'm not a Democrat. I'm really independent. But the
Yeah,
Republicans
I am too.
are really allowing this to slide about the white supremacist part, not the killing part. Everybody, of course, is upset about somebody being killed, but it's the white supremacist part that should all of the Congress people should be really up in arms about, but they're not. This is
Right.
what's bothering me in our government. All the people, all of us could be against everything, but the government is what is doing all of the laws, and that's what I get concerned about. I could write to my congressman, I could do this, but unless they do something and they're voting, we don't get. The only thing we can do is vote them out. And I
And
plan
pay
to vote every.
taxes. You got to
And,
keep paying taxes even if you don't agree with what's
yeah,
being
but
voted on.
and also and vote them out. You got to
Being
vote every one of the people that
misrepresented.
you don't like in office out. That's
Yeah.
You got to vote for the other alternative because
Therefore, I ask for your vote this
we're
November.
in deep doo doo right now.
I know. I know. What do you think? What do you think, Cynthia? My gosh.
We
You
can't
muted.
hear you. You're on mute. I can't hear you again. Can you make your volume louder? Yeah. No, don't. You just put yourself on mute again. There.
Can
Now
you hear
talk.
me?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you, but talk louder. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, well, I think you said it all.
Actually, try to talk in softer. I think once once your voice goes up, it tends to cut out. So just keep soft.
I'm trying to speak softer now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You're sounding okay now. Just keep talking.
But I haven't got anything to say. You've said it all.
That's what you have to say, that in your agreement
then
that
you have to
everything's
say
been
that,
said.
right?
That's it.
Right.
No, but I was thinking when I was in school, in the Middle Ages, obviously, even one of my best classes when my junior year was Problems of Democracy. And we sorted things out within the class. We discussed things like this.
Right.
I wonder within the school systems today if they're doing that.
Some are. Well, it depends. Some do have. Some talk about the Holocaust. Some don't. Now the sad thing is, I heard that most schools are not doing enough about our real history. If you ask the average kid today about U.S. history, they know much less than you and I did when we went to school, Jude.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So
yeah, because
unfortunate,
when I
really.
went to school, there was one thing I always learned. I always learned about democracy, and
Right.
and I mean, I actually had a course called Problems of Democracy.
They don't teach civics
did I.
anymore.
They don't
don't
teach
teach
civics anymore. Oh my
They
gosh.
Oh,
Well, see, I mean, so luckily I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and they still did that.
Same here.
I don't know what they're teaching anymore because my granddaughter just was very interested in history, so she did learn more. But the average kid is not interested. So.
But she learned it but she learned it because she took it upon herself, not because it was just
That's
there,
right. Not because she was much more interested in it. Yeah.
Right.
And also, she has a father who was very into the Constitution. So he's all. Yeah. So, anyways, that's
I'm into the
whole-
Constitution to an extent, but the funny thing about the Constitution is, I know all the 27 amendments.
Yeah.
Like that's the part of I know lawyers that don't even know all of that,
right.
but I do.
Well, what's
27.
interesting is that even in the Second Amendment, when everybody's talking about gun rights and everybody can have a gun, if you notice, it says something in that Second Amendment that's never talked about. It talks about if you're using it for militia purposes. You read it; it says that right in there. But nobody's talking.
To bear arms and to us. I think it says both though.
Yeah,
it's kind of
what
ambiguous.
I'm saying, but the original reason I think was for reasons of war. I don't believe it was meant. I understand where it came from, but I have no problem about anybody having a gun in custody. But these automatic weapons, they're only made to kill people. And that's only for really military purposes. So why they even sell these automatic weapons that can kill people all in just a minute? You could kill 20 people in a second. That's
how they get into the hands of these nuts,
But that's what I'm saying. This kid was 18 years old. He was able to buy this license. He got it was
and
licensed.
He traveled
with it. He's 18 years old. So I'm going to say that there's something wrong if the gun lobby is saying, okay, everybody can have a gun, but you have to have a license. They're not really doing a good job of enforcing this at all. Okay. There's no enforcement of it. So I'm saying I don't mind if somebody has a gun. I really mind if they have an assault weapon. There's no reason.
What about somebody that has like a whole arsenal? Like, you might say to yourself, well,
He's a
I
collector.
just,
Yeah, they're going to say.
yeah, like you could say, well, I want to have a little gun in my house just in case, God forbid, I'm not going to carry it with me. I'm just going to, God forbid, if I needed it. And maybe you'd go to a range, learn how to use it.
Right.
And maybe you'd have like a 38 or a 9
Yeah, or you
millimeter
have a gun,
Glock.
or you have a rifle for hunting. That's okay. But all of this is with that type of gun that killed these people in the supermarket, that gun that killed the people in the theater, that gun that killed the people in the schools were all automatic weapons. You cannot have that type of gun unless you're in the military. That's my personal opinion.
It's crazy.
And
I think I've been on my stump too long.
Okay. Your points are well taken, Ruth.
Yes.
I want to point out one thing from that TED Talk that the guy said was, he said the best way to kind of bring a person out of white supremacy is just to talk to them and be compassionate with them and try to make friends with them, not to try to argue about concepts.
No, I understand. I think
it's just a matter of just befriending them and saying, look, you belong, because they obviously don't feel part of the bigger picture. They feel like they've been, and so try to bring them back 100%,
in. Because the best thing you can say is like, I really understand why you don't feel a part of the regular society. And and then you can start saying, well, let's find a place where you can feel that you're important, where you don't have to kill somebody. But we wouldn't say that to them, but it would have to be someone who has the time and energy. It would have to be someone who's a licensed therapist, as far as I'm concerned. But you see,
there's some amazing things out there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I agree with you. But at this state,